I threw away my marriage for a man who meditated 6 hours a day and convinced me that owning possessions was blocking my chakras. I cheated on my husband with someone I met at a yoga retreat, and within 8 months I'd lost my family and savings. My sanity followed. Hi, I'm Melissa. I was married to Brian for 16 years. We have a daughter, Sophia, who just turned 14. Brian was everything a partner should be. Stable, kind, devoted to our family. He worked as an engineer, coached Sophia's softball team, and still brought me coffee in bed every Sunday. But somewhere around year 12, I started feeling empty. Not depressed exactly, just hollow. Like I was sleepwalking through my own life. I started taking yoga classes. Then meditation workshops. Brian supported it all, happy I'd found something that made me smile again. He even bought me a subscription to that expensive studio downtown for my birthday. I threw myself into it. Morning classes, evening workshops, weekend retreats. I was searching for something, though I couldn't name what. I met River at a silent retreat in Sedona. That should have been my first warning sign. He was one of the facilitators, 48, with shoulder-length gray hair and this way of looking at you like he could see straight through to your soul. During one of the evening sessions, he singled me out, said he could sense my spiritual hunger, my readiness to transcend. The affair started through emails about my spiritual journey. He'd send me guided meditations he'd recorded just for me. Links to obscure texts about awakening consciousness. Voice messages at 2 in the morning about the universe speaking through synchronicities. I'd never had someone pay such intense attention to my inner life. Brian loved me, but he didn't talk about my soul's purpose or my past life traumas or my blocked energy centers. I lied about a work conference and went to visit River at his community in Northern California. That's what he called it, a community. Not a commune. Never a commune. 20 people living on 60 acres, growing their own food, sharing everything. It felt like stepping into another dimension. No schedules, no bills, no soccer practices or PTA meetings. Just meditation, farming, and deep conversations about consciousness expansion. River and I became lovers that first night. He said our souls had been searching for each other across lifetimes. That my marriage was a spiritual contract that had been fulfilled, keeping me from my true evolution. Every doubt I expressed, he had a spiritual explanation for. Guilt was just societal programming. Fear was my ego resisting transformation. I came home transformed, or so River had convinced me. Brian said I seemed different, glowing. I started criticizing our lifestyle constantly. The house was too big. We had too much stuff. Sophia didn't need 3 pairs of sneakers. Why were we poisoning ourselves with processed food? Brian tried to accommodate me. He agreed to shop organic, suggested we donate things we didn't need. But it wasn't enough. Nothing in our normal life was enough anymore. I went back to River 6 weeks later. This time, I told Brian the truth. Not about the affair, but that I needed a spiritual sabbatical. Time to find myself. He begged me to try counseling instead. Said Sophia needed me. Asked if someone had influenced me. I told him he wouldn't understand because he was trapped in the material matrix. I actually said those words to the man who'd loved me for 16 years. The divorce papers I served him included a request for my half of everything so I could invest in the community. River said we were transcending material attachments. Brian fought it initially, then his lawyer must have told him to let me destroy myself. He agreed to buy out my half of the house, to split our retirement accounts. The only thing he fought for was full custody of Sophia. I moved to the community permanently. Gave them my settlement money, my car, my grandmother's jewelry. It was all for the collective, River explained. We were building something revolutionary. A new way of living beyond the capitalist prison. I had a tent at first, then a spot in the communal sleeping quarters. I worked the gardens, cooked communal meals, attended River's daily spiritual lectures. The first crack came when I tried to call Sophia for her birthday. River had collected everyone's phones to reduce electromagnetic interference with our meditation practice. When I asked to use it just once, he said I was showing attachment to my old life. That real love meant letting her find her own path without my interference. The other members agreed. I was being tested. Brian started sending letters through a lawyer. Sophia was struggling. Acting out at school. Refusing to talk about me. Could I please reach out? But River intercepted the letters, said they were manipulations to pull me back into unconsciousness. I believed him. I believed everything he said. 4 months in, a new woman arrived. 25, trust fund, seeking enlightenment. River began giving her the same intense attention he'd once given me. Private meditation sessions. Special recordings. When I expressed jealousy, he said I was failing my spiritual tests. That possessiveness was the antithesis of evolved love. I wanted to leave then, but I had nothing. No money, no car, no phone. River reminded me I'd freely given everything to the community. That wanting to leave showed I hadn't truly surrendered my ego. The others watched me constantly after that, reporting any negative energy to River, and convinced me that owning possessions was blocking my chakras. It took me 6 more months to escape, and by then, the damage was complete. A woman named Carol, who'd been there 3 years, broke down one night. Told me River had done this to 7 women before me. The community was his personal bank account and harem. She'd been planning to run for months, saving coins from grocery trips, hiding a cell phone in the chicken coop. We left together at dawn while everyone was at morning meditation. Carol's sister picked us up at a gas station. The first call I made was to Brian. His number was disconnected. I called his work. They said he no longer worked there. Finally reached his brother, who told me Brian had moved. Taken a job in Portland. Wanted no contact with me whatsoever. The restraining order had been filed 8 months earlier, in April, after I'd shown up at Sophia's school. I barely remembered it. River had said she needed to see her mother's transformation. I'd been fasting for 5 days, wearing clothes I hadn't washed in weeks, talking about dimensional shifts and energy harvesting. The school called the police. Brian filed for emergency protection. I'd been served papers at the community, but River told me they were meaningless constructs of an illegitimate system. I stayed with my sister in Phoenix. She hadn't spoken to me in a year, but she took me in anyway. Set conditions: therapy twice a week, no contact with River or anyone from the community, and I had to get a job. Any job. I found work at a grocery store, stocking shelves overnight. It was perfect. No one asked questions at 3 in the morning. The deprogramming took months. My therapist specialized in cult recovery. That's what it was, she explained. A cult. Not a spiritual community. Not an enlightenment center. A cult run by a narcissist who targeted vulnerable women with money. There were 5 lawsuits against River. 3 women had pressed charges. He'd done this for 15 years. I wrote Brian letters he never answered. Sent them to his lawyer, who confirmed they were received. I wrote about getting help, getting better, getting free. About how sorry I was. How sick I'd been. The lawyer's responses were always the same: maintain no contact, focus on your recovery, stop writing. Sophia turned 16 last month. I wasn't there. Haven't seen her in 2 years. Brian's Instagram is private, but his brother's isn't. I saw one photo from her birthday dinner. She looked happy. Taller. Had Brian's smile in my eyes. Her hair was dyed purple, something I never would have allowed before. Brian's new wife was in the picture. They married last year. She seems nice. Normal. Present. My sister helped me file charges against River and the community. Fraud, coercion, theft. But proving someone willingly gave their assets is almost impossible. The detective said they'd had 12 complaints but no successful prosecutions. River was too smart. Everything was documented as voluntary donations. I work as an administrative assistant now. Rent a studio apartment. Go to therapy. Attend a support group for cult survivors. We meet in a church basement, which feels ironic. 6 of us, all with similar stories. Different gurus, same exploitation. We laugh sometimes about the things we believed. Crying comes more often. The hardest part is accepting what I threw away. Brian was real. Our life was real. Sophia's need for a mother was real. But I chose fantasy, dressed up in Sanskrit words and promises of transcendence. I destroyed something genuine for something that was never more than manipulation. Last week, I saw a woman at my yoga studio who reminded me of myself 3 years ago. Talking about feeling empty, seeking meaning, considering a retreat. I wanted to warn her. Tell her that the answer isn't out there with some guru who claims to have it all figured out. But she wouldn't have listened. I wouldn't have listened. River's community is still operating. New website, new name, same location. He's found new broken birds to fund his lifestyle. Sometimes I Google him and feel sick at how obvious the con seems now. The testimonials all sound like I used to sound. Transformed. Awakened. Free. They're all women. All middle-aged. All searching for something they'd lost or never had. I keep one photo from before, hidden in my wallet. Sophia's 8th grade graduation. Last picture of the 3 of us together. Brian's arm around me, Sophia between us, all of us smiling. Real smiles, not the forced serenity I learned to perform at the community. We looked so normal. So complete. I had everything and convinced myself it was nothing. The restraining order expires in 2 years. Sophia will be 18 then. An adult who can decide if she wants contact. I'm saving money for that possibility, for therapy she might need, for college expenses Brian shouldn't have to handle alone. It's the only amends I can make from this distance. My therapist says healing isn't about getting forgiven. It's about learning to live with what you've done. Some weeks I believe that. Other weeks I sit in my empty apartment and wonder if River was right about one thing: maybe I did need to lose everything to understand what everything meant. The truth is simpler and sadder than any spiritual teaching. I had a good life and I burned it down for an illusion sold by a con man who saw my vulnerability like blood in the water.